All right. So before we start this episode, I have to air a grievance with the Mars Corporation. Now, you may all be thinking, what like is it like a company on Mars? No, they're the people who make your Snickers bars. Now you might be thinking, why do you have against Snickers? I have nothing against Snickers. In fact, I want more of the best kind of Snickers, which is peanut butter Snickers, which I can't ever find anymore, and I don't like it. And I want people to write their senators and petition that we need more peanut butter Snickers on store shelves like there used to be.
And I'm guessing this is a new life grievance you've discovered as you become a cross-country king traveling the world.
Yes, because I live in a relatively small town, and not as small as you, but I was thinking like, okay, maybe the reason I can't find the big bags of peanut butter Snickers, like the best I can find peanut butter Snickers, like sometimes there'll be like individual like bars on the shelves, which are bullshit for a couple reasons. First of all, peanut butter Snickers they're like 2 squares, which are great. You can just pop in your mouth, but like that doesn't really work when you're selling it as like a candy bar. And also, I am a grown ass man. I do not buy candy bars. If I'm buying candy, I'm buying it in bulk. But so I was like, okay, I live in a relatively small town. Maybe we just don't get some of the fancy shit. No, I was in Denver, Colorado, the whatever they call that city. It's a big city. And I went to Target, and they didn't have them there either. So this is not a problem with where I live. This is a nationwide crisis, and I need it to be addressed.
Well, okay then. That must mean this week's issues were really bad.
So anyway, Ian, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm here to talk about more Archie Sanic. You know, getting knee deep into the hog. I'm ready.
Please, God, never say that ever again. Before we start, I forgot to cultivate comments for Ian and Ace. Read your comments. You know what? We're just gonna open the YouTube Studio app and see what greets us. Ian, stall.
All right. Blue streaks speeds by.
Oh God,
Sanic,
no, stop. Okay. So
he saved you.
So on home, the missing bits comments the timestamp 1 hour 1 minute 57 seconds. And so with a laughing crying emoji. And I went to this, and this was when we had an extended conversation about Bunny's ass and how sometimes they make her tail robotic and sometimes they make it organic. I really hope my grandma doesn't listen to these anymore. Yeah, and then
it's her way of knowing you've never changed.
Okay. There was someone who commented not on our most recent Prime review, but the last one, saying this is again. They put the ats. So if I'm not saying your actual display name, I'm sorry. This is what I got. Dylan Noshia 5065. Ian putting the show on 2 times speed was a Chad move.
That's what I always do if I'm not enjoying a show, but I need to get through it. Just put it at 2 times speed and let it roll.
Yeah, I feel that. I did that there was a season of Kamen Rider I did that for, and then I realized I just like didn't need to watch every season of Kamen Rider, and so I stopped. And
you
was
freed
great.
Yourself.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Also, commenters, this is the first episode we're recording after like 2 months. So if you're watching one of the last episodes or listening to it, I should say, and are like, man, I commented that forever ago. That's why. It's because we took a break because I was doing shit. I started a new job. Fuck, I don't know. Let's find one more. Come on. Oh, okay. Actually, this is a good one from Sonic Master XYZ. I'm not going to read this out. I did read it and I hearted it and I replied to it. They left a very lengthy comment responding to our points on the Sonic Prime season 2 discussion and talking about why they actually enjoyed the show. Again, I'm not going to go into it, but I appreciated that. Like I said, I wanted to hear from people who liked the show. And so
Absolutely.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and I read it too. I read it too, and I thought it was a good response. I liked hearing your thoughts. So thank you.
Okay, actually, you know what? Fuck that nice shit I just said. I'm gonna end with one last thing. From it's a kids show. What did you expect? I don't know, something fucking good. That's all I'm gonna dignify that comment with. You know what? Future me, edit out the name. They don't need bleep that. I don't want their name. I just want their dumbass statement to be out in the world. But okay.
The road changed you. Normally that would be me.
All right. Let's get into Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog number 142, Freedom Fighters Forever, part 1.
Yep.
Now, Ian, I don't know about you, but I actually really liked this story.
Okay.
Because I've had a lot of trouble sleeping recently.
Right.
And let me tell you, this worked like a charm.
Did you have good dreams too? Did you dream of the hog?
Oh, of course, always. Stop calling him the hog.
So yeah, this one's really boring.
Really boring.
Tell the audience what happens. What do we learn?
Okay, so Hope Kintobor, who's the little blonde girl who's related to Robotnik and Snively. I don't remember exactly how. Is she Snively's sister?
Yeah, she's like a half sister.
Something like that. She's doing a report for school, and she finds the original Freedom Fighters. And so Sonic's like, the original Freedom Fighter. Well, he has a line where he goes, she goes like, can you tell me about Colonel Stripe and the original Freedom Fighters? And he goes, now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
A long time.
Yeah. So
he
like,
was the man with the master plan, he says.
Yeah, and I remember when Hope goes, what do you mean by that? I know she's asking sincerely, but I really would like it if it was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you saying?
Sonic, why do you say stupid things and expect people to understand you?
Yeah. And then we get something admittedly kind of fun, which is we see like an alternate perspective on the day Robotnik invaded. And we find out the secret tunnel that got them to that hole was behind Old Man Gallagher's house, which that was fun.
Yes. That's cute.
That's a fun reference. And so we see the meeting with how the Freedom Fighters were formed. There was these like 5 people who were like, let's go do some terrorism. And then they did.
Right.
And there's a fun panel where Sonic and Sally are spying on the meeting, and when they're like Freedom Fighters forever, Sonic and Sally like fist bump. So it's like in a way it's the formation of like both groups of Freedom Fighters, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then they're like, then Hope is like, wow, that's really cool. What happened? Then Sonic's like, they were betrayed.
Yeah. And also, I will say the art for the story is quite good.
It's pretty fun.
I like all the kind of like the cross hatching and like the kind of like the dark sketchiness of it. And you know, it's a decent idea of like you got these like old, you get, you know, the instead of just like these kids coming up with it, it's like, yeah, there would be like some adults from like the old guard who would be like, yeah, we're gonna keep fighting or whatever. So it's kind of a cool idea of like Sonic and Sally being inspired by their efforts. The unfortunate thing is they're all very boring.
Yeah. Also,
but, you know.
I didn't know this, or maybe I'd forgotten it. Why is Sally's mom is here?
No, that's a different lady.
I'm sorry, what?
That's her. What's her name? It's not. She dies later in like the gag era, but there's like a young version of like some lady who was her teacher.
Why does she look exactly like Sally?
Because they are bad at designing things.
Is this the one who dies right before In Your Face and leaves, and she gets
Yes.
Nicole right after?
Yeah,
okay.
This is I forget her name. Darn. A fake fan, but yeah, she yeah, that's her.
Yeah, and then Amy there's a ceremony about Amy joining the Freedom Fighters, and the only note I really have is there's a scene where Sally's like, you know, she used to be really immature because, you know, she was like 9 and then she used a magic device to make her body older. But then Sally goes, at least until now, I think Amy has grown to be a beautiful young lady inside and out, and then winks at her. And I hate that. Sally, what are you doing? What is this?
Well, and then you have Sally being drawn in this issue, and Stephen Butler's just like, yeah, naked woman. That's what you guys wanted, right?
I mean, but yeah, that's a fine story. She gets a medal.
Yeah, I like this one just simply because. So again, if you've not like read the comic, like all of it, then you would just think like, okay, like yeah, Amy's part of the team, right? But actually, no. Like when she gets older, they're just like, well, Amy, like you're still like a child mentally, you dumb idiot. So you're not going on missions. So they just like don't. Like she just doesn't go on missions. So like in the time skip, when you see her fighting all those guys, that's the first time Amy has fought in the entire comic.
Really?
Outside of like in Sonic Adventure, she hits like one robot and then they're like, that didn't do shit. And then they capture her. That's it. So Amy has legitimately not fought like anything in this entire comic up until like 100 and something issues, which by the way would include spin-offs. So we're like about 200 issues in. And so this little story is like actually like kind of important because it's actually like legitimately they're like, yeah, no, you're part of the Freedom Fighters now. This is what you've always wanted. And I really like Amy's reaction to it. Like when she's like, I don't know what to say. And they're like, would you know what to say if I asked you to join officially? She's like, oh my gosh, yes. Basically, it's just cute that she finally gets to be a part of the team. But if you're just reading it normally, you're just like, okay, like, duh, she's a part of the team. It's like, no, man, you don't understand. She hasn't been part of the team the whole comic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's a cute story, and there's not too terribly much to say. But I mean,
all happy.
Ian just said some shit, but like I wasn't listening. But anyway,
Indeed.
But
oh, then
yeah,
we get
then we'll skip over.
Then we get exposition for a billion pages.
Yeah, we'll skip over that for now, though. Then we get a reference to Peter Jackson's King Kong in the off panel, which I gotta tell you, I was not expecting that. We move on. We press forward to Sonic the Hedgehog number 143 of Original Freedom Fighters Part 2. Let me look at my notes. What is there even? Oh, I have 3 notes for this section. That's cool.
They all die at the end.
They all die at the end, basically.
He's a snake.
He's a snake. It's cool seeing the original Robotnik again. That's cool.
Yeah, and I like that he's in like his little war general outfit. He hasn't completely shifted over to his design, or like his TV show design.
Yeah,
so that's the most enjoyment you're gonna get out of these 2 issues, because otherwise so slow. It's just like, oh hey, it's like that thing's kind of neat. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. But so then yeah, the Freedom Fight. One thing I thought was interesting is I assumed the bird guy was going to be the traitor, because he comes in and he says this right in front of Sally. No, he's just a dumbass. Like,
that's how they're characterizing them, so you feel bad before he dies.
I don't know their names.
I know Colonel Stripe, and I know that's it.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you? I think one of them's named Bull.
Bulldog.
Yeah. But yeah, Robotnik roboticizes them and then sends them to the Zone of Silence, which I feel like either individual one of those actions would have done fine. I don't know why he had to do both, but
because he's evil.
He is evil. But yeah, then they had a funeral for them, and then the original Freedom Fighters formed, and Tails isn't wearing shoes. I don't like that. Why does he have big eyebrows? I don't like that either. Also, why is he like as old as Sonic? I don't like that. There's a lot of things I don't like about Tails in this picture now that I think about it.
He's making me feel very angry things.
Yeah. Apparently
and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, question. Is this the first time we've heard of these characters?
Yes, and then they're never gonna get brought up again.
So in this Sonic Super Special, they didn't go like, because of Colonel Stripe, we're gonna be the freedom. No, okay.
This is just referencing back to when they created the Freedom Fighters or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
That story is way more cute than this, because like the way that it works is like Tails like kind of discovers that he can fly, and he's like, "Whoa, I can fly!" And then like the air currents like chuck him into the stratosphere. Like, no, Tails! So then they go and find him, and he like falls into a hole. And then they're like, "Oh wow, like this is like a cool little secret base." And they're like, "You know what? We need to like work together and fight Robotnik and blah blah blah." And that's like where they get their little secret hideout. This was boring though, and I don't care.
Yeah, this was pretty boring. Yeah. So okay, and then.
Which sucks because the ending is like a nice idea, but I just so don't care that it doesn't even matter to me. Which is that the teacher of this little thing, because like Hope is like, and that's why Colonel Stripe is really cool. And then she turns on the thing. It's like, wow, I'm the wife of Colonel Stripe, and I'm really glad that people will remember your sacrifice. And I'm like, that could be really cool. If I cared. If 5 minutes ago we weren't going, I'm a snake, it's totally within my nature to be evil. Oh, that's how we died. And it's like, oh, gosh, kill me.
Also, I'm just gonna say it. Hope's paper fucking sucks. Like
D-.
like how old is she? Like how old is she?
I think she's probably like 10 or 11 or something. She's not that old.
Maybe it's not that bad. It's just like I'm just saying, if I turned in a paper like this, it would not have been looked over well. Mr. would not have liked that.
Well,
I should not say her real name.
To be fair, the teacher would be biased in this, in this instance. So
I should not say my high school AP literature teacher's real name. Bleep that out too, future me. God damn it. I'm giving future me a lot of work this episode.
Yeah, usually that's my job. Yeah.
Oh God.
So yeah, what did you think of this 2-parter?
It's bad.
Thank you.
No, it's not. yes, it's bad. I was gonna say, 'cause the worst thing any piece of art can be is boring. But it's there's fun stuff in here. It's interesting to see
Name
like
it.
older. Oh, I was about to. You fuck. It's interesting to see kind of older stories, kind of recontextualized, and like there is fun in seeing like, oh well, how did the freedom fighter, like how did these children all end up in this cave, like fighting Robotnik? Like that's interesting. Like there's something there.
Uh-huh.
There's something there.
Yeah. I think you know what I think. You know what I think it is. One, I don't think this needed to be two parts, so that kind of like
No.
strains. Well, and again, well, we have to contextualize that all of this is happening while there's a certain Echidna B story going on in the background. So you read this and you're like, okay, that seems fine, I guess. And then you go to Knuckles, which we'll talk about, and you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
please stop. And then you go back
Yep.
and it's like, oh god, he's a snake. What is happening?
Yeah, it's just between bad and worse. Okay, one last nice thing. It says class dismissed at the end instead of the end. That's cute.
Yeah.
Okay, is there okay, and then we okay, so then is it 25 years later time? Because I'm thinking we do
No, because 144 has the B story about Sally writing her girl letter thing.
okay, here's what I'm thinking. So that way we can experience it the way I experienced it, which was my mind melting. I think we should do 25 years later and then the stuff that is after 25 years later.
Okay, so we can
Okay.
track how like you've degraded.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so oh god, I don't want to look at this again. So many words. God. Why are there so many words?
It's very important.
No, it's not.
I know, and it literally doesn't go anywhere.
So Lara Sue is like, I want to be the guardian. Knuckles is like, no. And then Rotor and his old ass husband are talking,
It's true.
and he's like, what if we went back in time? Rotor is like, what if we went back in time to fix this there, or like to figure out what the answer is? And I'm sorry, isn't that the kind of shit that got you in this situation?
That's right.
So why would you do it? Or I guess, is that what the, you know what? I guess we'll get to it at the end. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know. But then Knuckles has to meet with Sonic in his man cave. After admittedly a kind of nice scene with him and Sally. Maybe it's nice. I don't know. It's cute. Maybe. I don't know.
I've never pulled rank on you. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was whatever. And then they're talking on the thing. And they're like, first of all, I don't like Rotor calling Sonic sire. I'm fine with Sonic being king. I'm not one of those people who be like, Sonic would never be. I'm like, no, that's fine. But like, I feel like Sonic would be like, dude, just call me Sonic. Like, like, I don't
He's in
know.
his midlife crisis phase. You know, he just takes it.
Yeah. And then
They're all professionals.
oh, there's just one funny thing. When Knuckles and Sonic go on the FaceTime with them, Knuckles goes, all right, guys, we're all ears. Actually, Knuckles, I don't know how to tell you this.
Where are your ears?
Yeah.
And also, Rotor doesn't have ears. I think it's just Sonic who is all ears.
Sonic is the only one here. Sonya is like, don't you love how much these kids did during this? Sonya's like, I'll never get to be queen because man, I'm older than Manic, but he's a guy. And it's like, so is that, I guess, like in the Acorn Kingdom, like the boy has the right of first refusal. Like,
of course they do.
That's just I don't know, man. Like, you tell me Sally didn't get rid of that shit. Like,
oh, because everyone just does what came before. No one changes.
I get
except for based Knuckles in the next issue. So we'll see.
That is true. That's true. But yeah, that's literally it for that one.
It's time, man.
Oh God. Okay, so Ian, do you want to talk about why it's gonna be difficult to make fun of this, or should I?
You can do it because it's funnier that way.
Oh, thanks, buddy. So I remember I was reading this. So this story, just get ahead of it real quick, is about future Knuckles grappling with the death of his father. And I remember reading this, and I was going like, this is way too specific. This has to be something Ken Penders actually went through. And sure enough, the end of this, it says that it is dedicated to his father, Kenneth Penders.
Yeah.
But
you didn't know about this going in.
I did not know about this going in, but like when they get into such specifics, when they're like, He what is it he's dying of?
They don't know, but like he's got a
No, he has a carcinogenic pancreas,
yeah,
which I was like,
carcinogenic.
that's
Yeah.
very specific. And they go like, he died at this time on this day, and I didn't cry. And so I was like, this is really specific. Like, I was like, this Ken's got to be pulling from something real.
Well, and the
here.
back and forth is pretty like real feeling of like
Yeah,
like a deathbed confession, basically.
yeah. And so I understand Ken was probably working through something with this, and total respect for that. But we are going to make fun of it. We're not gonna make fun of parts of it. Again, I think there are parts of it, and that, if anything, that are done well. And I think, truthfully, I think the part of this that's the worst for me is that it's a finale to a comic I did not read.
Oh yeah, a lot of this isn't gonna hit for you.
This very much feels like the finale of the Knuckles comic, which I appreciate that. I think comic books struggle with giving people like natural jumping off points or like natural like conclusions. So I think it is really awesome that you can read the Knuckles comic, read this, and then that's it. Now, granted, the problem with that is next issue, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it. So yeah, I guess we'll just hop right into it. So my first note once again is Ken, because do you remember what we start this this story with, Ian?
Oh yeah, it's like City, baby.
Yep, it's yep, and feet.
And feet.
I don't like it, Ian. Why? Why?
You never seen a kid and a girl get up in the morning?
You know what, Ian? I can't say I have actually. But so then Knuckles goes to see Archimedes. Well, Knuckles has a flashback to the last time he saw Archimedes, and his pupils are fucking massive.
Oh, they're huge the whole time.
Yeah.
Everyone's are.
Yeah, but there's one panel in specific where they just consume his eyes. It's like, whoa. There's also they feel the need to tell the reader how to pronounce Archimedes' name.
Yeah, they do that a lot in the old comic. It's like, it's pronounced this way.
Sure. I don't know.
Must have gotten a bunch of kids being like, I don't understand. Like, shit.
But yeah, and then he goes to Echidnaville or wherever this is. And then
Echidnapolis.
Sure.
I mean, that is what it's called. You were close.
That is what it's called. I wasn't sure if this was Echidnapolis. Otherwise, I here's the thing. I didn't want to say Echidnapolis and be wrong. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I didn't want to look
stupid. So yeah, they're like, your dad's dying. We don't know what's wrong with him. We need to perform exploratory surgery. And then it's just he's dying, and he says goodbye to his wife, and he says goodbye to Knuckles, and they treat him like he was a good dad, even though he definitely wasn't. And then he dies, and it's dedicated to Ken Penders' dad. And yeah, like a lot of my notes are related to things that, like, again, with the context of figuring out like this is a real thing, like that happened to Ken, where it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like again, it's with the carcinogenic pancreas. Like, what? like that's a very specific thing for him to be done. Like, I don't know. Again, it is what it is. Like, I think if I read the Knuckles comic, I think I would have gotten more out of it. I don't know. Ian, save this.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it. So in my video with Low Art, we have a whole Knuckles video where we just talk about Ken's run on the Knuckles comic. So what's always really interesting about Knuckles is that the way Ken sees Locke and like all the horrible things he did is that, like, yeah, Locke did a bunch of bad things, but at the end of the day, he loved his son, and so he didn't do necessarily the right things, but you know, he did it all with a pure motive of like trying to save the world and protect his son. Now, what's interesting is that the comic, for the most part, in the Knuckles comic, doesn't really like address this too much. Like, there's even a part where Knuckles like, hey, do you ever think I just maybe wanted to be like your son and not like a bioweapon? And he's like, well, think of it this way, Knuckles. Like, well, you know, what would you choose? You know, it was between raising a son or saving the world. You know, I just did the best I could. And Knuckles like, well, fair enough. And so like they don't really like most of the comic doesn't really address what Locke did until there's a few moments here and there where Locke will like kind of question like, oh, maybe I've been out of my son's life too long, and like maybe like, you know, I could understand if he doesn't want to see me or whatever. But they never really like focused on that. So now you have this. So like the whole comic, you're kind of sitting there like, am I supposed to like Locke or not? Because he's terrible. But like the comic and like Knuckles seem to really respect him, and Knuckles still seems to really respect him in this. So you get here now. The thing that really needs to be known is that at the start of this future story, you have the scene with Knuckles and his daughter, where we have him. He's like, I don't think there needs to be Guardians anymore. He's kind of like, he has more people helping him, which the Brotherhood didn't do. And then also like Knuckles actually talks to his daughter. Like he actually like tries to empathize with her. He tries to speak with her. He has a happy relationship with Julie Sue, where Locke had a horrible relationship with his wife and drove her away. So just from that, you can see a difference in how Knuckles is as a parent. Now you come to this story. Now in this story, we have Locke, and he actually like owns up to every single thing that he did. Now the comic doesn't, and even though Knuckles is there going like, well, Dad, I always thought you were great, which you would think is supposed to be like, oh, so he didn't do anything wrong. But no, Ken still has Locke talk about how like, nah, man, I messed up this. I was the one who ruined our marriage. I should have given you the choice. I should have, been a better dad, all these different things. And then he kind of gets his little deathbed, come to Jesus moment. That's kind of like the way it's portrayed, is that like Locke at the end of his life, he sees all the things he did and he goes away. Now, a lot of people I think focus on that, and they focus on like, okay, so does Locke kind of just get scot-free? He's literally at the very end, like in heaven, watching Knuckles from above or whatever, with like Aurora. But I think the actual thing that matters is, and I think that's where people get really hung up on it. The thing that I think makes the story actually really, really great is that Knuckles comes to the gravesite and he has this little moment where he's like, you're really smiling on me now. I'm starting to realize, more often that, you did do a good job. But then he follows it up by saying that, or I'll just quote it actually, because I think it's a really good line. So he says, I was so determined not to repeat your actions that I found other ways to do them instead. Just like you gave me no choice in becoming a guardian, I was set on preventing your granddaughter from going through what I did, and that's just as wrong too. So, as we see, the reason Knuckles does all the things he does for his daughter is that he is trying to actually prevent her from going through all the things that, as he says, were actions and things that he did not actually like that his dad put him through. And now he's coming at this moment and going, well, actually, in the same way my dad controlled my life, I don't want to then control her life if she actually does want to be a guardian. And so he's going to grow from what his dad did and actually give his daughter a choice and be there alongside her. And so I think that is the true heart of the story, is that by the end of the Knuckles comic, what it all ends up being about is that Knuckles becomes a good dad. And I think that is, one, something you'll never, ever find ever again in a Sonic story. And two, it actually is quite poignant when you compare it to how Locke is talking about all the horrible things he did, and now Knuckles is coming here, and it feels in character. Knuckles does not hate his dad. He does not see his dad as being an abuser. He sees it as, my dad had to make all these tough choices, all these different things, but he still sees that as like a bad way to raise a kid. So he still loves his dad, and he still thinks that he did somewhat of a good job in some areas, but he still had other things that he tried to change. And so by the end, the message is that you should guide your kids and not try to control them. And so while I think some people might get hung up on Locke and like him kind of getting like this happy ending, I think it's more important that Knuckles actually did see the flaws in his father and is now going to be a better dad. And I think that's a really like powerful thing to end on, especially after all the shit Knuckles goes through. And by having Locke be the character to say, I did a bunch of bad things, even if Knuckles is like, I didn't think you did anything wrong. I think that's an interesting, that feels real to me. And the ending scene is, I think, pretty powerful because of that. So I actually really like the story. When you combine it with the story with Knuckles and his daughter and him trying to get her to go to the her like little quinceañera or whatever. So I actually really like the story, and I think it's quite good. And I like that Ken draws it, even if I think his eyes are really weird. I think he gets some really good shots. I think the coloring is really nice, especially when he's at the gravesite. And I think you can, like you said, you can definitely feel that a lot of this. Obviously, he probably didn't quote word for word things he heard, but you can feel a texture to it that feels very real. And I think that no matter what, gives it a humanity that even if you disagree with where the story goes or it even being here in the first place, I think it's something you can't really deny. So I really like this story.
It's obviously very personal. I think it's I think it serves as a very good ending for Knuckles as a character. I think if you were, again, I've not read the Knuckles comic, so I can't really say this for sure, but I think it serves as a good stopping point for this character that Ken Penders has been kind of shepherding.
Yeah. So
problem is that next issue happens. But
problem is that it doesn't actually go anywhere. But
well, no, again, I think genuinely, if it just stopped here, I think if this was the end of 25 years later, and it does very much feel like kind of the end of, well, actually, I don't know. I guess there was a lot of time spent on Sky Storms, but like, I feel like if this was the end of 25 years
it's the end of Knuckles' character for sure.
Yeah. Like, I understand what you mean when you said like Ken does not touch Knuckles after this. This is his definitive end for Knuckles.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, again, it didn't hit that hard for me, but like I can see it and I can appreciate it. And yeah, also, I just now noticed for future Knuckles, the Lego design on his shoes goes like all the way up the ankle. So that's neat.
Well, okay, so I will actually, I'll spoil a little bit of good news, is that, so one of the stories in the early Flynn era is finishing this dumb timeline thing that's going on, and in that story, we do see that Lara Sue and Knuckles retain their memories from this timeline, and Knuckles is being a really, really good dad, so that continues, and he's training her personally. So this actually does get paid off in the Flynn era.
Okay, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just go...
But that's not going to be for a while. So I just thought, like, while you're in this moment of like, man, it sure would have been nice if it went somewhere. Well, at the very least, this part goes somewhere.
Yeah, I am. So let's just get into that. Let's just, it was a cool story.
Yeah. So how does this end?
So does it end? Does it end, Ian? So, oh god, I'm already getting mad. We haven't gotten to the part that.
I'm fuming.
Ian, I don't think you fucking understand. We'll get there. Okay.
I clearly don't. Tell me about
Sonic the Hedgehog, number 144, 25 years later. The die is cast, which I gotta say is a dope name. So it starts. Knuckles is like...
Right. It was a pun.
Knuckles is like, Lara, you get to be a guardian. And I'll start training you unless I die. In which case, who's gonna start training him? Your mom knows who to contact to begin your training.
Probably like Archimedes or whatever, like the fire ants.
Yeah. And I will say I love this exchange between Julie Sue and Knuckles, where she goes, "Your father didn't say anything about not coming back," and he goes, "So I left out a few details, nothing important."
I was gonna say I generally like old Knuckles. I think he's funny.
He's great. And he has a dope design.
He's a smooth boy, and he's just like, "Did I ever mention how I love you?" And she's like, "Ah, fuck." Right. Well, anyway.
Yeah, no, future Knuckles is fun.
And this is, by the way, this is where it's like, this is where, like, because you hear that, right? And it's like, someone will know how to begin your training. It's like, Knuckles, I just want to be clear, right? You're not saying that you're going to go back to all the shady, shitty stuff that your dad did to you, right? Like, you learned from that, right? Right? So I'm glad that that's like where it's like, I'm giving that Knuckles ending like the best faith possible, because it's like Flynn made sure to follow up on that, and Ken did not get a chance to ruin it.
Yeah, which again, God, we'll have to get to. So then he gets into a cap.
I love Sonic's stupid space outfit for his quills.
Oh God, he's a
Power Ranger boy.
I love how he keeps wearing the fucking crown. What? Why? He doesn't need it. It's fine. Like,
and I love that all the men, like, they finally realize, like, yeah, like, I'll wear a shirt and pants. And Sonic's like, nah, I'm always naked, bro. Don't even talk to me.
Yeah. So they get to the where? The Badlands? Is that?
Yeah.
The Badlands. Where is this?
The Badlands.
Yeah, but I see this is like an important location, right?
It looks like it's like Mobatropolis or whatever. Like that got nuked.
Oh yeah, I guess this is post nuking. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it looks like it's that place.
So they get into an old robotic bunker.
It's true.
And Sonic's still wearing his fucking crown for some reason. Like, I don't get, like, just take it the fuck off.
I love how much this bothers you.
Just take it off. Why is he still wearing it?
Take it off, Sonic. Take it off.
Like, it's not. There's no reason for him to. There's no reason for him to still be wearing it. Like,
got your wad of cash ready.
No, it's just a hindrance. Like,
what does it hinder? Your sanity?
Yes. It's jammed into his eyebrows. Like, what is he doing? But anyway,
his butt brow.
Okay. But so then they're like, okay, we gotta send someone back in time, and they didn't discuss before this. Who was going back in time? So Sonic's like, I guess I'll do it. No, not even like I guess I'll do it. He is enthusiastically going to the time stream to get a pack of smokes. Like, like, right? He's like, if I were Sally, eventually when he comes back, which oh god, we'll talk about that. I would be furious. I'd be, you just decided to fuck off, like,
and he'd be like, shoot, baby, I was saving the world.
Oh god, but they didn't think like they didn't talk about this before. They didn't like they're like surprised like Sonic, you're going back in time. Like I guess they thought Knuckles was gonna do it. Was that the idea?
They were gonna send Rotor. They were like, hey Rotor, buddy, I don't know if you know this, but Sonic and I are really strong, and that guy's really old. So who's gonna protect you? Nobody. And he's like, wait, this was a coup?
This is a coup. But like, no, so he's just abandoning his family to go into the time stream. Like,
Ace Sonic, he learned the real lesson from Locke, which is you gotta love your family from afar.
Fuck them.
He's the good ending, you know.
But so they didn't get like a soldier. They didn't find a guy. They're like, no, we're sending the king back in time to do what? By the way, what even is the plan? Like, to fix what?
To fix the clouds.
Sure. But so, wait. So we find out Lara Sue stuck aboard.
Yeah, she does.
And then wait, what's happening? She's vanishing. Oh no.
Look at Sonic. He looks goofy and he's dying.
He just fucking dies.
Yeah, and then they're just like, hey Sonic, do you think you'll ever die? I doubt it, Tails. And then Knuckles is like, I don't think about things.
I gotta ask, what the fuck is this ending? So
thanks, Ken.
He goes back in. So is this meant to be he's arrived in the past? Is this meant to be like it's a time loop situation?
No, it's supposed to be like, ooh, what happened? Ew, anything could happen, because it ends on like, though our destinies are etched in stone, various are the means used in the carving. Pericles, ancient echidna philosopher. So it's basically just meant to be like, fuck you, give me another 25 years later B story, and maybe I'll, answer it. This is just basic Ken stuff. Like, he never answers anything. It's terrible.
He just, wait, are you telling me, but I thought you said this was his magnum opus. I thought you said this was it.
The last issue is his magnum opus.
Oh my god. So Sonic just dies? So he just fucking dies. So as far as Ken's concerned, Sonic 25 years later ends with them going, the world's ending, Sonic getting getting the Ava, Shinji. He just fucking dies?
Yeah, and then they're just like, whoa, who knows what'll happen in the end. Now, to be fair, from what I've heard, I think Penders was promised like 2 more issues, and then they said actually wrap it up. So I don't know if this is his way of just throwing his fucking hands up and go, I don't fucking care anymore. I quit.
Oh my god. So because it just doesn't end. Like,
yeah,
like Lara Sue's disappearing. Why? What happened to Sonic? What
yeah, who knows?
It just, who knows? Did Ken ever say, I'd love to know what, like, I'd love to ask him. Did you ask him when you talked to him?
No. Anytime we asked him about other things, like, oh, what was your plan? And he's like, well, I didn't really have a plan.
Oh my god.
Wait, what am I talking about? Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Ace, this is all going to be revealed in the Lara Sue Chronicles.
Fuck you, Ian.
No, that's true. That's what it's about.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that you didn't like his whole magnum opus that he's trying to work on, the Lara Sue Chronicles. It is to continue this story. This is what he wants to tell. I know you're excited. You're shaking. I'd like to remind you that he began working on this like a decade ago, and he is just now about to release reprints of this story so that people can be caught up, and then maybe in a couple more years the first part will be released.
But he can't. Can he do that? He doesn't own Sonic or Knuckles.
Well, so that's the thing, is that he has the rights to re-release 25 years later, but he will just have to like blot out all the Sega characters and like redraw Knuckles. So it's going to be horrendous.
The Lara Sue,
he's breaking.
I can't. Ian, what the fuck happened? He just vaporized Sonic, and then said that's the end.
That's the end.
And then, but the ending is
Chronicles.
Lara Sue. Lara Sue disappears at the end of this.
They're gonna figure it out.
She disappears. She's gone. She was erased from the time stream. I guess she's erased from the time stream.
Her death was highly exaggerated. All right.
I saw it. I watched it happen. I saw it happen. Don't tell me.
Well, maybe that was. Maybe that's on you.
Ian, I'm just gonna read you my notes. I'm just gonna read you my notes. When this happens, it's what? What happened? What was that? Fucking what? I'm so mad right now.
So you read this, and then tell me, how did you feel when you saw Love and Loss?
I wanted to die. I was like, my brain felt like it was being torn in half. Like, why was this not the second story? Why didn't we end on this? Why are we?
It had to be the headliner, man.
I headline something, Ken, because I am not a happy camper right now. Let me tell you, I just
want you to know the comic, like, you've read all of the good stuff from this pre-Flynn era. It only gets worse.
Oh no. Well, I think this next story is anyway. No, I'm not done. I'm not done though. So you're telling me there's no answer. He's never said
until the last Chronicles.
He's never said what this ending means, because so the ending is literally just we vaporize Sonic and then we go to the past of them going like, so is it meant to be like this is the bad ending, and so it's like, well, maybe things will end up differently where Sonic doesn't get vaporized in a tube, like, and that's why we're showing the past.
Yeah, because I think the cryptic Echidna quote's supposed to be like, yeah, like nothing's ever set in stone, you know.
So he's never said there's no, because I didn't research it because I wanted to find out. There's no answer.
It's gonna be in the Lara Sue Chronicles.
Ian, that's never coming out.
That's the plan, though. So of course he hasn't told anyone.
I can't fucking believe.
You can get it on the Lara Sue app that he's making.
Oh, yeah.
Not a joke.
Yep. Yeah, no, I know it's not a joke.
It's never a joke.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. Ian, you can't see. I've just been like repeatedly just running my hands through my hair in anger as we've been talking about it. I look like Doc fucking Brown right now.
Awesome.
I can't fucking believe. Okay.
You're free now. That's it for Knuckles, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah.
But it's not the end for Ken Penders because he's the main writer for the rest of the book. Let's go.
No. Oh God. Okay. So I had another. I guess we'll see what happens. Because here's the thing, right? You can say like, oh well, we see what happens. We see what happens when Flynn does the 25 years later. Here's the thing. Yes, the Flynn 25 years later is good. I like that story. It's not the answer though. That's not what they were planning.
Yeah,
that's not what Ken was doing here. Like. Ken wasn't like, I'll leave it on this, and then another writer will pick it up.
Leave it to Flynn.
No, that was not his plan. Like the plan was something ostensibly. Like, Ian, you want to introduce the B story while I lie down?
The B story is that okay. So the B story is basically that they have this little newspaper called I think it's like the Knothole News or whatever, Love and Loss. It's a little Monkey Con love scandal. Anyway, it's basically it's Dear Alley. It's what it's called, and then it's just all the girls, so Bunny, Mina, and Amy. They all write into Dear Alley to get love advice, and we get walls of text for their letters. And so Bunny's upset about Antoine, obviously. And then like the next page will be like Allie's response, and it's Sally. So Sally made this paper so that she could kind of like help other, people in need with love. And then also to kind of help herself, because she writes the letter to herself at the end. And then by the end, she goes, hey, I love Sonic, but I love my people more. So therefore, I need to man up, and I need to move on so I can help my people. Now, I want you to, take that in mind when she continues to not do that for the rest of the comic. That is, to me, that's ultimately the curse of the story. Is like, I'm actually kind of fine with like this little back and forth. It's kind of cute. I really like the art because John Gray does it, so there's a lot of little details. And so like I don't really mind this kind of like character focus. The problem is again, it's all bullshit because Sally at the end she's like, I'm happy. I'm gonna Nicole. It's time for Allie to help her people. And just so you know, the next time Sally's important, it'll be multiple stories where she's like, oh, I just want to be with Sonic, and oh, Sonic, I'm fucking yelling at you, and oh, all this crap. So like, if like this was true, if like after this Sally was like doing her own thing and like she really grew from this would be kind of cool. But as it stands, it's just another example of how this era just spins its wheels and nothing ever happens.
Yeah, this was fine. I liked it.
I was gonna say, what did you think?
I thought it was interesting. I have some notes. I'll read my notes.
I kind of like it as a standalone thing. Like I like the idea.
It's fun. It's a fun idea.
Yeah.
You gave away the twist, so I will say, isn't Sally supposed to be? Isn't she like queen right now? Basically, isn't she doing shit?
Yeah.
Like, so does she have time for this?
Yeah.
Does she not have time? Does she have time not only for this, but to write decoy letters to convince people that it's not her? Like,
I'll ask you, what do you think what else do you think she needs to do in her tiny little village of like 100 people?
I mean, they have like broadband.
Rotor's doing that.
But like you said, there's this guy selling papers, and my first note is Mobiums. Yes, because we so rarely get Mobiums referenced, but for me, that's always been like the currency of Sonic.
Just a funny, dumb thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's fun. And my next note is women. Am I right?
That's true.
Like all the women just swarm this fucking
that poor
stand. Guy. Yeah, and also like all the women are so desperate to read these stories about like other depressed women. Like,
I mean, right? do you not watch drama channels to hear about the awful lives of other people?
I try not to, actually.
Then you don't know the fever.
I guess, but so the first story is about Bunny, and Sally just gives her some truly terrible advice. Like, she's like, yes, I know he's been abusive to you verbally, and he's not talking to you, and he's been ignoring you, but you just need to keep trying to talk to him, honey. Like, and that'll get him to love you again. It's like, maybe
you just got to beauty up that beast, bitch.
And what's worse is like we can assume Sally knows who all these people are, right?
Yeah.
So like she knows she's telling Bunny, hey, don't give up on, despite seeing how terribly Antoine's been treating her.
Love me.
We're gonna, I guess, and we also know that she basically wrote like "Stay the fuck away from Sonic" to Mina.
Yeah, don't you dare. And to Amy.
Yeah. Well, because she knows that Amy's heart belongs elsewhere with Shadow. Anyway,
true.
God, Ian, I gotta be honest. The last one kind of drained me. Okay, yeah. So Mina's with Ash, but she's like, I don't like Ash. I want to be with Sonic, but do I want to be with Sonic?
Because I like Ash.
Yeah, that's about as complex as this gets. And then Amy writes in my notes.
I do like Amy's response, which is that fuck this bitch, and she just throws away.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, I think Amy's is probably like the best advice Sally gives any of them.
Yeah, she's like, you're a child. Calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, she's basically like, look, you got a lot of life left in you. Like, you'll be fine. You know, just don't worry about it. I love how the one, so they fake out the other girls and by extension the audience by having Sally write a letter. And I love how the response Sally gets, which again, I assume this is meant to be saying something about Sally's own like kind of perspective on this, is basically like, stop being such a bitch. Like,
it's true.
Right?
She will not learn from this, mind you, but
yeah, because like and like pretty one-sidedly, the alley is like, you kind of cornered him, and it wasn't really fair to him. Like, you know, maybe just just be cool. Yeah, and then it's just, yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's It's fine. Like, it's a fun little like B story. I don't mind
Ultimately,
it.
it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. Do they
'Cause,
ever reference this again? This feels like something Flynn would bring back.
well, it's just something that it doesn't really like. It can't go anywhere because she's like, "Oh, I've moved on." But then, one of the last stories of the pre-Flynn era is literally that she's like, "I don't want to marry evil Antoine," and they're just like, "Well, you have to." They think it's real Antoine, and so she's like, "Well, they're happy." She's like, "But I want to marry Sonic," and then. Sonic is like, "Hey, please don't marry Antoine." And then evil Antoine's like, "Arrest Sonic." And he's like, "Sally, we've literally been friends for our entire lives. Don't let him arrest me." And she's like, "Sorry, Sonic, I have to listen to my husband." And so she lets him get arrested. And she's like, "Oh, but I feel really bad about it." I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, like less that and more like this fucking Ask Shirley Ask column that Sally
No,
writes. Like,
that doesn't come back.
This never gets brought up again.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, last story. We're almost out.
Last story. Ian,
what's up?
on your
mind?
What?
What's on your mind?
What is happening? What are we doing with our
Nothing.
lives? What decisions did we make that led us to this point? Like,
This is to help you understand the mess that Flynn brought upon himself when he decided to make peak fiction.
Yeah. Okay. So
this is what he was working with.
Okay. So Sonic the Hedgehog number 145. Shadow returns and Sonic doesn't stand a chance. And also, no, it's called Shadows of Hope. Which, whatever. Fuck you. Anyway,
Shadow?
so Locke is like, this grown man has just been watching this child for weeks, and it's really not okay. I feel like I should probably step in. So he does, and Shadow is like grappling with this idea because he met Hope in Sonic Adventure 2.5.
Yeah. Met.
Quote unquote, yeah. And
saw from afar and was like, little girl.
And he's like,
she looks like
And in the year since then, he has not been able to grapple with the idea that like maybe there can be other little blonde girls.
There can be two blonde girls.
Yeah, because he's like, she looks like Maria, but she says her name is Hope. Yeah, because she's a different person.
She's a different person, idiot. He's like, I was born yesterday.
Yeah.
I did nothing for a year.
Yeah, but so then Locke ambushed them. We don't know it's Locke yet, but it's clearly Locke. By
the way, so Ken writes the story. I love that after having a whole story where Locke's like, I was a really bad person, the first thing he writes for Locke is like, I'm gonna kidnap this man.
Yeah. But yeah, so he gets him, and Shadow makes a hilarious fucking face. Do you know the face I'm talking about?
I think so. Let me look.
It's the one where he flips him, and he's just like,
he's like, ah,
like what the fuck?
Oh yeah, he's not having a good time.
But yeah, so he kidnaps Shadow, and Hope gets caught in the teleportation field, and he puts Shadow in a pod, and Shadow's like, man, I've been in a lot of pods in my day.
This is like the stupidest pod.
Yeah. This pod doesn't have nutrients. I am not bathed in warm, soothing nutrients that Professor Gerald raised me in. Which, now that I say that out loud, I don't like that.
The juices of my master.
No. Oh God, no. Anyway, also, I like how Ron Lim draws Shadow. He looks cool.
Hey, he's a funny guy.
There's actually really cool line that where Locke goes, have you any idea what it's like to lose everything? And Shadow goes, I wouldn't know. I've never had anything.
And then Locke goes, that's not surprising.
Damn it, Ian, I was trying to highlight a good thing. Well, but then Locke says the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, which is, from what I can tell, you're neither biological, mineral, nor vegetable. It looks pretty biological to me. Ian, thoughts? Like, what is he saying here?
Yeah, there's like this. Ken has this whole thing where it's like, what is Shadow? He's not like real. And then I just never go anywhere with this.
No, he is. Well, when did this come out? Was this before or after 2005?
I
Do we
think
know he's part alien yet?
this would have been either literally in 2005 or 2006 because Flynn starts in 2006. So
Okay.
I think he
So,
starts
yeah.
at the end of 2006. So this might have been 2006.
The copyright says 2005, but that's who fucking knows. But anyway, yeah. So maybe we know he's an alien, but also, why would Penders pay any attention to the game?
Oh yeah, Penders has openly said he never played any of the games, so he wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I mean, there wouldn't have at least been like water cooler chatter at the Archie Sonic offices, like, your Shadow's an alien, like, whatever. But so then we get something that would be cool if the characters could just shut the fuck up. Which is
no, they never stop talking.
What?
Never stop talking.
They never stop talking. So we get a great. So I remember just glancing at this page and it being like Shadow bursting out of the pod, save Hope, right? And that's on it, like, awesome. Like, that's a great idea of like he's caught in this thing. He's like, and just on instinct he breaks out of it. Like the visual of him breaking out of the pod to save a little girl. Perfect. Stop talking, Locke. We don't need your narration. I can see with my eyes what's going on. You don't need to keep talking. Not Flynn. Penders is like, I gotta earn this fucking paycheck. I gotta keep...
I inform him I also wield the power of chaos. Well, nowhere near the same range of my son has demonstrated, but that I was capable of more than sufficient. As for the creature, whether it was rage or something else entirely, he was proving it had something I lacked. Killer instinct. It's like, stop.
Yeah. And so then Hope says out loud, right now I'm more scared of you than I am of him. We could get that. You don't need to say that. That's it. The idea. Okay. And then
You gotta tell, don't show.
Of course. It's the Stan Lee method of writing comics.
Indeed.
But so Shadow goes, "You're not Maria." Because you're not Maria. You're not Maria, and I don't need any friends.
I don't need friends, nerds. And he leaves.
So it's like they say that like this is like I love the idea that like in the entire year Sonic's been gone, Shadow's just been thinking like, she's not Maria. She looks like. Are you sure she's not?
Yeah.
Maria?
And then he just like sees her up close. He's like, "Oh hey, you ain't Maria. Bye."
Yeah, like the idea that this is something he's genuinely been struggling with. Of like, is she Maria? She says she's not Maria, but like she looks like Maria to me. And only now is he actually was like, oh fuck, she's not Maria.
And I don't want friends.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, so then we get a boring, stupid story where Robotnik spends a couple pages telling us shit we already know.
We find out that he thinks Amy Rose is the cutest freedom fighter.
I hate that. I hate it so much. My note literally says, Eggman, what the fuck? But yeah, it's just like, if you're gonna put this in the book, which I understand to an extent, every comic is someone's first, make it the first story. Why is this after we've seen a bunch of pre-established characters, none of whom this story will explain, fight? What? Because here's the thing. The only purpose this story serves is if you're a new reader and you need to get caught up on these characters. So why? I don't know. Ian, Anyway, you got anything to say about that?
No, let's move on.
Okay. Sonic the Hedgehog Harbinger. So Sonic's playing darts with Ash and Mina and Bunny, and Bunny's bent over a table because of course she is.
Of course.
Yeah, Dawn Best is doing their best, let me tell you. Also her tail's organic here for those keeping track at home. For a second I was genuinely confused about if this red person we see at the start of the book is Fiona. It's not, but thought it might be for a second. Anyway, Tails is reading a book.
This is a great comic. I love it.
This is so great, right? Okay. Wait, actually, I need to go back. The last story, Eggman goes. He has his figure eight and his spin dash while showing pictures of Sonic, and neither of which is he doing a figure eight or a spin dash. I just need to talk about that. And then yeah, so they're playing darts and it bounces off the. How does a dart? I'm pretty shit at darts, right? I can do okay, but like I have never seen a dart hit the pointy end of a dart, hit the dartboard, and then bounce off the pointy end, suddenly pointing in a completely opposite direction. How do you do that? manage that. But so then, we an explosion. Okay, wait. Actually, I don't even really understand what happened here. Okay, so an explosion happens. And Tails is reading a book. What? How are these things related? Actually, okay. Miles per hour is maybe was he?
I really don't like that picture of Sonic comforting Tails.
Which picture are you referring to?
The one where Tails is gently caressed in his bosom.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Sonic's face. It makes me uncomfortable.
I'm not the most comfortable with it either, to be frank with you. But
I love how you said that. Like, personally, if I were gonna vote red or green, I'd probably be more of a green fan, but I could see how red would be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why did they draw Knuckles' quills as if they're like his flowing hair? Because it goes down. Like, it's like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, I know.
The story's real bad.
It's pretty bad. But so, okay, wait. So is Tails, he's going to talk to Rotor about an unrelated thing, and then he finds out about the seismic readings. Okay. For a second I was like, did Tails' like spider sense go off? And he's like, I gotta go talk to Rotor about this. Also, Tommy's there.
Hello, Miles.
Is that how he sounds to you?
No, I read. Oh, Miles.
Yeah. I don't.
By the way, I think Rotor might be into Sally. He's got a picture of her on his desk.
I mean, she's fill-in queen. Maybe that's just a legal obligation.
They'll come to his house and beat him senselessly. He doesn't support the queen. It's like you gotta have a picture of the queen in the house. You gotta do your little sign every day. They're like Rotor. What year are you from? He's like, I don't sleep.
Oh no. Anyway, so then there's the seismic reading, and so Tails is like, why don't we go do stuff? And Rotor's like, we can't do stuff. We're nerds.
We're nerds.
And then he's like, okay, well, we gotta go get Sonic. Then we find out Ash threw a little bitch fit from the dart game. So he storms off, and so I thought they were building up to like tension here between Sonic and Tails that will ultimately be paid off later. Because he's like, why did no one invite me? And he's like, I did. You just didn't listen. He's like, oh, okay.
He's like, oopsie
so that was necessary. And so then we cut to, I guess, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe I was just too hurt at this point. But like, I didn't feel like we established enough of like, this is a thing we're doing for when Tails goes, do we have any plans for the next few days? We immediately cut to Sonic packing.
As a big mission. I'm going to warn you. These next 4 issues are atrocious.
Oh no!
So be prepared for Ken Penders to go all out and assault your entire life.
Oh no!
So this is a big deal. Like this is, to me, this is the point. I fucking hate this comic.
Oh no! Oh, buddy, oh god. Okay, so Sonic says goodbye to Sally, and they're like, "What if we never see each other again?" Oh well. And then they go, and then I mean, right? That's what happens, right? Like, am I wrong?
Oh yeah, perfect. Also, perfect follow up of like yeah. So like, it's like I've moved on from Sonic. I love you, Sonic. Pray you and the others come back safe and sound.
Yeah, and then.
What if the last time I ever see him?
I wish. But
kill Sonic.
You know, I'm leaning more and more towards that every issue we get through. But anyway.
So this is what makes it so funny is that like our whole series is like chronicling, like me and Laura's series is like chronicling like getting to this point after reading all the other stuff before this. So I love that you are still at a similar level of I don't give a shit, I want to die as we are.
Dude, those last, like, that just is, it's painful. Everyone's talking so much too. It's just like every good idea is ruined by execution. Like,
yeah.
And so, Shadow shows up at Gerald's lab, and he's like, the professor, the prototype from Professor Gerald's encrypted data files. Now I've discovered it. What next? And my last note is fucking sure.
Okay, so here's the funny thing, right? So
Okay.
so Shadow, like when he's introduced, it's like go play SA2. It's like, well, thanks, comic. That doesn't make any sense in the context of Archie, but sure. So then he comes back and he's like, Sonic Adventure 2 happened. Only it was variants, and I got saved by aliens, and also Sonic gave me Amy's speech, and also, I know this, and this. But then, so it's like, okay, so he doesn't have amnesia, right? But then, like, this whole story is him being like, what's in my past? What's going on? And then later, he will go to Robotnik, and he'll be like, oh, what's going on? Who are you? And he's like, don't you recognize me? I'm like my grandpa, Robotnik. And he's like, you guys were related? Crazy. I'm like, you knew that!
Oh. Oh no, 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 no. And why? What? You know what? I'll say this though.
Don't.
I'm okay.
I'm just kidding. I want to be free. Don't
I
say
was
anything else. Yeah, go ahead.
I was talking to Derp on Twitter the other day, and I said something about IDW because we've talked about like, should we do another IDW episode? I don't want to, and I'll tell you why. Because any one arc of this sparks infinitely more discussion than just reading IDW and going like, "Yep, still sucks."
That's the sad part, right? Is like,
yeah, and I maintain that.
The cringy art. We can talk about the story. We can talk about deathbed confessions. In IDW, I'm just like, well, this week, Cheese, he was like, oh, Blue hit me. And then, next time at Foster's, we'll find out if he gets caught.
But like, yeah, I stand by that. Like, I think like obviously IDW is it's less wordy, if nothing else. But like, I'd take this over that any day of the week, even at its most painful. Like,
I don't know. I feel like it's really hard. Like I would say I will always think Archie at his worst is more interesting than IDW, but IDW is quicker, so I don't know.
IDW is quicker,
dude. Okay,
IDW is quicker, but we have to do a show about this. So
I'm gonna rant about the Sonic fan base real quick.
Go off.
Because they, so okay, these fools. I saw someone. Right. So you read the recent issue with like Lanolin, right? We have Lanolin. And she gets really mad at Whisper and like grabs her arms like, get off me. And so I saw someone they said, Lanolin is one of the most dislikable Sonic characters up there with Jeffrey St. John. And I had wartime flashbacks. I was like, child, you tell me you haven't read Archie without telling me you haven't read Archie. There is no fucking way you said to the ether that Jeffrey St. John was on the level, or that Lanolin was on the level of Jeffrey St. John. No, get out of here. He's a groomer. He's a maniacal monster. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
He's awful. So I don't need these children reading IDW being like, oh, Lanolin's so bad. No, you have not sat through the worst of Archie. You've not sat through the freaking future Rotor being like, Sonic, here's your dumb fucking ground and go kill yourself in the time machine. No, get out of here.
I don't know, man. Do you ever think about the fact that like most of the people in this fandom are like 14, and so we're just like perpetually mad at children?
That's how I live my life, perpetually mad at children.
You know what? Same. Especially these fucking children in Sonic. Legit, real talk. When we got to the scene of Lara Sue talking to Sonia, I had forgotten Sonic had kids before that point. Because I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Grant, that might be because we haven't talked about this in 2 months. I don't know.
Sonic bangs, man. It's canon.
Yeah,
or it was.
Yeah, it is. It was. Well, we'll be again. We'll have to talk about the horrifying implications of that when we get to Flynn's 25 years later. But
it's true.
Anyway, Ian, final thoughts. I don't know.
Final thoughts. Archie's really, really bad. And this has always been my take, is that like I love all of Archie, but a lot of it's terrible. I even all this bad stuff, I still love it from a fascinating piece of history perspective. Like you have all these characters, you have all these ridiculous stories, and yet they're being like executed in like really dull or terrible ways, but it's just fascinating to look at and talk about. So I will always love it for that reason, as like a history, but actually like reading it as a story, kill me.
Yeah. I'm in a similar boat. Yeah, it's oh boy, it is not great, but you know what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. What issue are we on? We just finished 145, so we have
Yep,
what?
so we've got 14
14 left before Flynn takes over. And I mean, it can't be all bad, right?
Well, guys, see you next time as we inch our way closer to Nirvana and freedom. Hopefully, the Silver Ace will be able to join me soon.
Yeah. We're an episode every 2 weeks. That's what we're shooting for. You know, unless something comes up, you will see another episode this time in 2 weeks. So
then it'll be next time we're gonna do 46 through. Oh, I really want to get through it. Can we do 46 through 51?
Through 51. I mean, is that the whole arc?
It's the whole arc, and then it's the Evil Sonic bangs girls for 2-issue arc. Trust me, it's not as fun as it sounds.
Oh God, we're gonna get there, huh? I mean, I guess the question would be, do you think we can fit those both in a reasonable amount of time?
Absolutely. The arc we're about to get to is fucking nothing for 4 issues, but it takes forever to read because every single page is like 50 pieces of dialogue giving you literal exposition that is a lie.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that then. So so for those of you reading along at home, 146 through 151, and then after next episode, we should do a throwback episode. So we'll figure out what episode that'll be off mic. But yeah, so till then, thank you everyone for listening. You subscribe here for more episodes. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm not calling it X, fuck you. At SilverAce01. You can find Ian on Twitter at Ian Waffles, and on YouTube as Ian Waffles. Ian, any parting words?
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.